Capitol Hill is not the normal stomping grounds for Justin Sorrells and Steve Johnson. They're more accustomed to a setting like this in a Florida citrus orchard.
It's my livelihood. I'll be the fourth generation to be in the citrus business, and this is what I want to do. It's what I want my kids to do. But if we don't have anybody to pick the fruit, then there's really no way for us to make any money. Therefore, it will have to go by the wayside.
And that's why Johnson and Sorrells, along with other farmers from throughout the country, came to Washington, D.C. to impress upon lawmakers the need for a new agricultural labor program. They joined hundreds of others who flooded the House of Representatives in support of immigration reform legislation that would include that new program. The Senate's passed an immigration reform bill. The House has not.
Immigration is an essential part of our business. We have to hand harvest all of our oranges for our citrus. And without labor, without people to do that work, we wouldn't be in business. It's just that simple.
Sorrells uses the federal agricultural labor program that's called H-2A. Like many others, he says that program is antiquated and desperately in need of a makeover.
It's a very expensive program. It is a very red tape filled program that is very hard to get into and very expensive to stay into. The process to get the workers is very long. It takes 3 months at least to process and get workers on our farm. So we have to start months and months in advance. And when we have government shutdowns or problems with the Department of Labor, it slows every process down. Every grower in the state of Florida that harvests citrus is been delayed at least 30 days because of the government shutdown.
Some representatives were sympathetic to their situation.
I mean, I've been out there to see not only the planting but also the harvesting, and I've been there to see how difficult and almost impossible it is to get domestic labor to come out there and provide this very necessary service. And I think that, unfortunately, unless we have a system in place, call it, an H-2A program or whatever they want to call it, but if we don't have something in place that allows us to have a labor pool that's market-based and that's competitive so that you guys can produce the crops that you're expected to produce or the consumers want to see, we've got a serious problem.
But others were not. Some want to make it harder for foreign workers to enter the country, not simpler. Johnson and Sorrells say the repercussions of that would be huge.
We would have our fruit hit the ground. Fruit that we spend all year trying to grow would go to waste. In turn, we would go out of business if we could not get a reliable workforce from somewhere, anywhere.
But lawmakers need to realize that Americans will not fill those jobs.
We would hire domestic workers. As a part of the H-2A program, we are required to hire domestic workers first. We've been doing the program for 15 years. In those 15 years, I would venture to say 15 people, domestic workers, have applied for the job. They just don't want to do the work. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. And domestic workers just aren't willing to do it. So we have to go abroad.
We don't see the average American out there. We've had a few come by and apply, and they'll try it for a day or two and say, hey, I want my check, I'm out of here.
And without immigration reform, farmers across the country worry that their farms will be forced out of here too. Jonna Miller, Washington.